Hey y'all, welcome back to Flat Tire Farm. It was 7 below zero this morning and it's warmed up to about 25 degrees now, which means we're still bringing in firewood, which means I need to get sharpening on my chainsaw. Why don't you come with me? Now, if you didn't know, we live in an off-grid homestead in Alaska and firewood is our main source of heat, so I use my chainsaws constantly and I need to keep these chains sharp. And I can do it with just what's in this case. Now, I don't know about you, but when I need to sharpen my chainsaw, I'm either in the woods or when I'm lucky, I'm at this tailgate. So having tools that are portable and I can take with me is perfect for me. So this is what's inside my STIHL sharpening kit, and this is all I need to get my chainsaw sharpened. And as you can see, it's pretty well loved. I have my round file with the file guide on it. The file guide's very important. This is a Raker gauge, and this is the Raker file, or just a flat file. First, real quick, let's talk about the parts of the chain. Down each side, opposing, one side, the other side, one side, the other side, we have our teeth. Running down the center, we have our rakers. The teeth make the cut, and the rakers control the depth of that cut. Now here's a close-up shot. You can see here's my tooth, and here's my raker. If you look up, there's a tiny bit of a gap in between the raker and the file, but the file is resting on the tooth. We want that gap to stay just like that, not be too big, but it needs to be there because that controls the size of the wood chip that's coming out. So first we're going to sharpen the teeth, and to do that we're going to use the round file and the file guide. So here's an up close shot of the round file in the file guide. Now the file guide gives you something to rest on the teeth, and it gives you lines to show you the angle that you need to be grinding your teeth at. So this is a bird's eye view of our chainsaw chain. We're looking at the top of the chain here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a spot on my chain and I'm going to mark that tooth because I want to sharpen all of my teeth, but only once. So we want to take our round file with the file guide and lay it on top of our chain, resting on the tooth and the raker. The tooth is underneath this side, the raker is underneath this side. We're going to take the line that is on our file guide, and that is going to be parallel to the bar. And I'm going to make sure that it's flat across the top, and I'm going to push back against the tooth, and I'm going to make file strokes in the same direction that the tooth is pointed. Now that looks pretty good. There's a nice sharp point here. I'm going to advance the chain and go to the next tooth, and where I'll do the same thing. Now, I want each of these teeth to be the same sharpness. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same amount of file strokes on each tooth, and I'm going to work my way all the way around the chain, doing all the teeth that are pointed away from me. Now there's my green mark, so that was the last tooth on that side. I've already sharpened this one, so now I need to turn the saw around and sharpen the teeth on the other side. So I've got my saw turned around. Here's my green tooth. I'm going to come one tooth behind it that's pointed away from me, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did on the other side. Now it's important, however many strokes that you did of the file on that side, you have to do the same number on this side. Now that's important because if you don't sharpen the same amount on each side, then the distance between the tooth and the raker is going to be different from side to side. So one side of your chain will try to take a little bit bigger bite than the other side, and that means your saw blade will try to curve through the wood instead of cutting straight. And that will bind the bar of your saw right in the middle of your wood. Okay, I'm back at my green mark, so that side of the chain is done. Next, we need to check the rakers. Now, in order to check the height of our rakers, we're going to use our raker gauge and our flat file. So I'm going to set my raker gauge across my teeth and make sure that the raker is sitting in this window right here. Now pressing down onto the teeth, I'm going to check to see if that raker sticks up past the metal here And if it does, this one does not, then I'll file that down until it's perfectly flush across the top of that window. Let me find one that's sticking up so I can show you what I mean. So here's one that's sticking up a tiny bit. Let me show you how I check it. Laying across with my file, I'll see if it hooks on the raker as I'm going forward. And it hooks forward, it hooks the raker right there. I can just barely feel it. So I will pull this off and file that raker down just a little bit. And then we check it again. Now it doesn't catch at all. And once again, I'll use the mark on my chain to make sure that I make it all the way around. But remember, the teeth are on both sides, so I had to switch sides of the saw to make sure that I got all of them sharpened. But the rakers run right down the middle, so I can get all of those filed down from one side. That one's good. That one's catching just a little bit. Now I'll get the rest of these rakers checked and filed down, and then that's all there is to it. No fancy grinders or vices or warm shops needed. Now I do this every time I take my saw out, and it only takes me about 10 minutes. So I hope you learned something. Thanks for coming with me. We'll see you on the next one.